Hey guys, John here. So this is the 2024 Toyota Tacoma iForce powertrain. I have one of the engineers here from Toyota to talk us through it. Here we have Craig, guys, lead engineer on powertrain for the brand new Toyota Tacoma, and we have one pretty naked here so he could point out everything to us.
Hey guys, so this whole setup here, this whole frame is kind of a Frankenstein of different components. So not only the powertrain, but the suspension and everything is a little bit different from different trims. So I'm gonna start with the engine and the powertrain and explain a little bit here. So this is our new iForce 2.4 liter turbocharged engine. We have a 2.4 liter turbocharged engine on some other vehicles like the Grand Highlander we just released, but this is actually very different. This is only 54% common with those engines. So we've done a lot of things to change it. Actually, the block is a little bit different design. We've done a lot of things to improve the cooling capacity of this. Turbocharger is completely new. So on our cooling of this engine, we have a new design of our oil pump at the bottom and our oil capacity. And we do a lot of cool tests on this to make sure that when you're off-roading, the oil flow of this engine is still doing its thing. It's still keeping the engine cool. So we have actually a bench test where we take the engine and we tilt it on its side. Oh, wow. And we run it at full load to make sure that it even stays cool if you're off-roading, if you're pitched up and down or you're side to side. So we do a lot of testing with this. This engine's been designed 50% more durable than our other L4 turbo engines because it's a truck application. We hold it to a higher commercial grade standard, so 1.5 times the durability. So all of these things, the cooling, the performance, are really important for this engine, for the Tacoma.
Yeah, because cooling for a turbocharged engine, because obviously people are going to say, well, they got rid of the V6, like what's the reliability? So you guys have helped with increased cooling. And then like off-road, like you said, because you're going slower, you can't get air into the engine. It helps with the oil and stuff too. And then Sheldon was talking about your cooling system itself is bigger in like the TRD models or the TRD off-road models.
That's right. So we do have a difference in cooling here. On our off-road models, we do get a 3-inch plumbed pipe to our radiators to be able to help with that cooling, to increase the capacity of the cooling. In the TRD off-road, you get a sealed belt tensioner, so to be able to keep out a lot of the water crossings and mud and stuff like that. You get heavy-duty CV joints in here, so when you have that big steep articulation and everything, you can take all that torque. TRD off-road, you get a diff that's the same as the Tundra, actually a 9.5-inch rear ring differential.
And you were saying at dinner last night that this is the same diff like you just said in the Tundra, but all the hybrid models too, like the Trail Hunter over there, the Pro, like hybrids will have a bigger diff, but that's standard in the TRD off-road.
Standard in the TRD off-road, that's right. That's
so Tundra-sized rear end and a mid-sized truck.
Yep, it's got to perform. It's got to be able to handle all the torque.
So with this thing being a Frankenstein, obviously this is the new automatic transmission, and we can tell like how small, even though we have more gearing than like the old 6-speed over there.
That's right. So we switched from a 6-speed to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The gear ratio is totally, the spread is a little bit bigger. So actually we have a lower first gear, so we get more torque. So that even helps us even more in off-roading. So it's easier to off-road. This right here is a 2-wheel drive model, so it is very short. We don't have the transfer case here,
like
but
that one over there does.
Right, that's right.
And then you said with torque, with it being an 8-speed, so the torque comes on relatively early, like 1700 RPM, which
That's
is
right. This engine,
insane.
the L4 Turbo iForce creates the torque at 1700 RPM, which means that's your normal everyday driving, right? So we can operate in that zone where you're driving on, low speed country roads, high speed, and when you get into the throttle, you get that torque immediately. There's no delay. And we did a lot of calibration on the engine and the transmission to improve that gear hunting, right? We hear from our customers from current gen Tacoma that, that it never feels like the 6-speed was in the right gear.
Shifting
and it's always shifting all the time. On the highway, you just touch the pedal and it downshifts. And so we spent a lot of time really doing the tuning and the calibration of the engine and the transmission together, so that you have that good grade ability, we say. So you push the gas pedal, you don't get a downshift. You get all that torque initially, you're in the right gear. It comes together very well.
I can see that it is a Frankenstein because we have our diff and everything like up front for a 4-wheel drive.
You got to that's
but then the transmission itself is for 2-wheel drive. Obviously people are going to have to drive this thing to really experience it, but like when I was driving it, I could tell like even going downhill, the truck knew that it was about to go uphill, so it was holding at like 2500, 2700 RPM. And then as I started to go uphill, it was already in good power range, like with the torque and everything, because it has 52 more foot-pounds than the outgoing generation.
That's right. That's right.
317 on this one.
317 pound-feet of torque.
Just the normal iForce. I-Force.
Yep, just
Yeah.
normal I-Force, right? It's not the I-Force Max.
Good
Yep.
stuff, and that's just a monster itself. So for those that may get a TRD Pro, we got these Fox QS3 shocks, and guys, I just noticed a little Easter egg on the TRD upper control arm. So we have North Carolina right there on that one, and then we have California over here where all the TRD stuff is made, correct?
That's right.
California?
Yep, in California, and then our design everything in North Carolina.
Gotcha. So we have manually adjustable shocks up front, and why did you guys decide manual when, you know, some of the competition has like electronic shocks? Just
Yes,
reliability
good question.
Or?
Yeah, that and to give the customers more option, right? And again,
okay.
this shock right here is only from the TRD Pro. The rear shocks here are on the TRD from the TRD Off-Road, but the front here from the Pro.
And then we have an 18-gallon tank as we walk to the back.
18.2 gallon.
18.2.
And I'll stop right here in the middle real quick and talk about the frame.
Okay.
So this is our new F platform frame, fully boxed. Dejima welds, which what that means is you can see kind of different areas on the frame that have kind of different weld marks, and you have different size of different materials. So some high strength steel areas, different thicknesses, and we were able to make the frame stronger in the parts where that matters, and be able to make and keep the mass down on parts of the frame where we don't need it. So
as opposed to like the 3rd gen frame over here, which is, you know, a
C-channel, right? And it's basically the same
lot.
thickness across the whole board. So we have to make it as thick as we need it in the weakest point. But in here in our new frame, we're able to improve that and control the mass of the whole
Gotcha.
frame.
So then with the TRD shocks back here, so these are the new piggyback reservoirs for this generation.
The TRD Off-Road,
For the
yep.
TRD Off-Road, you guys actually have them over here on this table. So they're from Bilstein. They
From
got
Bilstein.
remote or piggyback reservoirs on the back. So basically, the TRD Off-Road of this gen is like almost as good, if not better, as like the TRD Pro of last gen. It seems like with this suspension.
It's definitely improved. Yeah, you have more capability to go off-road. You know, the previous gen was great. Nothing bad with it, but you know, we really wanted to step it up for the customers here. So you have the TRD Off-Road, you have great improved performance, and then even more performance when you get up to the TRD Pro and the Trail Hunter.
Now, is this our electronic stabilizer disconnect mechanism?
It is. So this is a little bit different system, but you have the full one out of the truck. But what you do is when you push the button, that engages this motor. It changes these little teeth here, and what it does is it spins this, and it allows these to lock or unlock into these teeth.
Really? Okay.
And so it disconnects it and lets you have it a free spin. So that's
Very
what
cool.
unlocks it and gives you that rotation here on this one. Then it opens up and allows you to spin.
So this is like it normal, right? Because
Correct.
it's almost like it's all the way across here, right? So what you're
Correct.
saying is when you press that button, the teeth and everything in here really allow this to kind of like this side to pivot on it.
a little bit more. Yep.
Okay, so it allows that side to pivot on its own and this side to be like independent, to get like a tire down on the left-hand side or a tire down on
Right,
the
gives you
right-hand
more
side.
articulation on the front, and then that also then helps on the rear as well.
Did you want to go over this one at all? I mean, it's what we all know from the 3rd
Yeah,
gen.
I mean, really the key point to point out is to really compare the suspension and the frame.
Right.
So you have on the front here, this is our TRD off-road, our TRD Pro
Yeah, the older
suspension,
hot shocks and
right,
stuff.
older ones. And you can just see the differences in the upper control arm, the size of that.
Even almost shock locations too.
shock
It's almost
locations
more
a little
upright
bit.
on this one than
That's
that
right.
one.
That's right. And then the rear suspension here is from the TRD Off-Road, so you can see just the differences compared to the ones we just looked at.
Skinny little Bilsteins
Yep.
on that one.
And then,
of course,
of-
leaf spring.
Leaf spring, yep. And then the frame, right? So this is our previous generation C-channel frame, so you can see it's not fully boxed in here. Even the cross members here are a little bit smaller compared to the new Tundra.
Definitely a bit
Tacoma.
beefier over there. Now people may say, well, this one's a C-channel. It'll allow me to twist and articulate better. So what did you guys do to rectify that kind of argument on the
Yeah,
new
and
gen?
that's a good question. And that's part of our Dejima welding here, is that, you know, we didn't make it just a full box that's completely rigid across the whole thing.
okay.
We picked and choose the areas that allowed, you know, a stronger, stiffer area, and some areas that need a little bit more give is not as stiff in that
okay.
area.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So even though it's fully boxed, it's not like a rough riding, hard solid frame. Like it will have some give in
That's
some
right.
areas.
That's
Very
right.
cool. I appreciate it, Craig.
Yeah,
Everyone
thanks,
say
John.
thanks to Craig in the comments.